seen it. I think we were here last to talk about that in November, December. We made some changes to it based on the board's recommendation. The biggest change was the removal of the full access onto lot 1 from off of Cloverleaf into the site, having one basically joint access, which is very near the current location of Red Rock. It's slid down a little bit, not too much. We have 5 waivers as part of this, and at this point I'll entertain any questions you guys have, and we go to the waivers. We want to go to the waivers first.
Okay, I think we'll go through the waivers.
Yep. First waiver is from section 309C1B, and it has to do with the basin embankment slopes. The requirement is 4 to 1, we're asking for 3 to 1. The second waiver is, I said that wrong. Section 309C1B is for the actual top width of the basin, which is 8 feet by ordinance requirement. So on the property, on the project, we have 2 basins. One on lot 2, which is the bigger basin, the bigger building, meets the requirement. The one on lot 1, which is an existing basin outside of Cloverleaf Road, we're intending to utilize that basin. That basin has less than an 8-foot berm. The second waiver, which is section 309C1C, which is the side slopes of 4 to 1, or waivers to request 3 to 1. Waiver 3 is 309C1D, which is the basin bottom slope of 2%, unless in infiltration facilities. The basin on lot 2 is at 0%. It is considered an infiltration facility for the man-based concept design. The existing basin on lot 1 is a little over 1%, like 1.2, so it does have some bottom slope, but we still need relief from that section. Waiver 4 is now from Stato. Sorry, the previous 3 was from the stormwater ordinance. This is from your subdivision land development ordinance, section 402, which is the preliminary plan requirements. In lieu of preliminary plan requirements, incorporate those into the final plan. And the final waiver, which is section 505A, which is to not widen Cloverleaf Road to 32 feet. I think we had this waiver approved with the subdivision plan. I guess the justification is we pay a fee as well. Our required 1 foot pavement along our frontage of both lots 1 and 2.
Okay, Fritz, is there any problems there? As far as the slopes or anything?
Nothing that sticks out.
Derek?
No issues with the waivers that they've currently requested. We are going to talk about off-site traffic, which it's technically not a waiver, so it's just it's an acceptance of it in lieu of, so you probably don't need to act on that as a waiver this evening. I think the only other thing before you act on the waivers, Dave, we want to talk about the driveway now, or we want to wait on that?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
about the only thing I saw that this board had requested that wasn't for the restriction.
Yeah, so last month, the board requested to try to restrict right turns coming out of our driveway onto Cloverleaf Road. And Derek was so kind to send something that was just down on Logan's Point, I believe, that restricted left turns. So what we proposed is really to just make the radius on the right a tighter radius. Therefore, your trucks are really gonna have to swing out into the, the other county lanes. It's gonna be very, very difficult for them to make that maneuver easily. It's kind of what we're proposing.
Is there signage in as well for no right turn?
Yeah, we'll put signs, no trucks, right turns, on lefts, or just something to that nature. outside of that, on Derek's April 3rd letter, we take no exception to any of the comments. They're pretty administrative in nature, a couple cleanup, clarifications. And as Derek mentioned, one, which I guess is the fee in lieu of off-site improvements that we discussed, if we move past the driveway.
Okay, is there any more discussion on, actually the first three waivers on the slopes? Okay, do I hear a motion to, accept the waivers? I think we can do them all three together. On waiver number 1, 2, and 3, and that's the dimensions on the slopes.
I'll make a motion to approve, waivers 1, 2, and 3, for the closed view, park.
Do I hear a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, now the next one is the subdivision. And do we need to know anything there? Derek? Or Terry, I mean,
No.
anybody?
No, it's just there's no, this isn't a phased project, so there's no benefit of going through a preliminary plan.
Okay,
Just wanna go right.
okay, do I hear a motion to, do a waiver on the preliminary plan?
I'll make a motion to approve waiver number 4, to move right to the final plan.
And I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and the last one, do we need discussion on that as far as the waivers?
Personally think you should discuss the traffic fee in lieu of, and make sure you're comfortable with the driveway design before you go ahead and approve all the waivers.
Will that have like an island?
No,
Where you can-
that's the design that was endorsed by the Cubes property. We endorsed on the Cubes. The project that just came in with a sketch plan, the Hanover Locust Point is also using that driveway design. That was the design that was provided to Cloverleaf. Of course, they would need to use the mirror image of that. Dave said they prefer not to put that pork chop island in. I guess there's a truck bar as well in the show, so. My feedback is it was the wishes of the plan to utilize that design. I think that's what we discussed last meeting, so. Yes.
Is there a reason that you would want to utilize that design?
Yeah, I mean, it's, functionally, we'd have to have a slant curve, trucks are still gonna be able to make whatever turn they need to make. It kind of becomes a waste of effort in my opinion.
The design that we had down on Locust Point Road would not fit in this configuration here, because that was a left-hand turn, this is a right-hand turn.
We're just gonna mirror it, that's what I'm saying. It's the same, just reverse it.
But see, on the Locust Point Road, you're staying in the left-hand lane going out. Here you're gonna cross over the lane and head south.
Mhm.
So putting that in there, what would the advantage be?
Yeah, I mean, if we had to clean it right, we're gonna have to come out of the church.
I'm just being realistic here. What does that gain us?
The idea is we would have a pork chop here that would prevent a truck from coming and turning right.
Right.
That's where it would be. So unlike the design on Locust Point where the pork chop is here to restrict left, you flip it over and the pork chop would be here. So you'd come out and you wouldn't be able to go right due to that.
Okay, because I thought this is the radius that we're gonna make really tight right
Well,
here.
that's what they proposed. They shortened that radius in there, but there's nothing here that would prevent a truck from just swinging wide this way and coming around. That's what the pork chop and the barrier in the middle was designed to do on the other lot. And again, this is, to be clear, that you do not have this as a design requirement in your saldo or your driveway ordinance, but this is what was approved on the HOP for Locust Point, and it was a request of your planning commission.
So
from what you're saying, you're strongly suggesting that we move in that direction.
Yeah.
And you
So
said
you-
something about a raised curb?
Yeah, so to do that, we would certainly have to put mountable curb in those islands to allow that truck to come through and make a left. Thought this might come up, so. Give you something that would be an alternative that, see, this alternate option, you add that pork chop as well as center turn, both of which would have to be on the curb. If with a truck or trailer coming out between them, it needs to go over to make that turn, right? And I don't, if they're both mountable, it doesn't prevent a truck from making a right turn to go up. You know, so in my mind, it doesn't,
Yeah, he's saying raise the curve here, because if it was a rounded curve, you just go over it anyway. So, yeah.
Because that's what happened in Mill Creek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like traffic circles.
You're the truck driver.
Well,
Sure
we
does.
want to prevent trucks from going right,
Mhm.
for sure. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, what he has designed here?
Because if they went right, they
You
would
still
end up,
got, you still got the radius in there.
Yeah, but it's too tight, you never make it though with a truck.
So,
But he's still gonna go to the other lane, just leave the other way, take the pork chop out.
so the big thing that makes the design work is the overhead bar. That's not proposed in this design, right?
that is not.
That's we can pork chop it and curb it all day long, but that's what makes the other design restrictive, is that pork chop actually has a vertical pole with a,
Oh, it does?
Yes. yes, it's
And how high is that?
11 feet.
So if we propose the bar, the restrictive bar, and remove this pork chop scenario, that would still achieve the function that you're looking for, because we have a reduced radius.
Yeah,
For
you're
the
just,
turning.
you're probably just gonna wanna put a concrete island in with some curb to protect the bar.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Right, I mean,
Give
but
and
we're
take.
talking about where the mounting of that bar is, where it sits on the radius. Maybe in our scenario, it doesn't sit in the island, but rather sit on that,
On the curb.
the PT area of that curve.
I get what you're saying.
So I mean,
I wouldn't be opposed to that. So you're talking basically outside the limits of the driveway, kinda hanging over, that you would really have to,
correct, yeah, to achieve the functionality that you're looking for, but allow us to still provide what we feel we need for movement into the site.
I'm comfortable with that, that's a decent compromise. If you guys trust me to work with them on getting
You
something.
keep the radius down.
The radius,
as well
neck,
as-
neck the radius down and put a bar, it'll be like trying to go through the drive-through Burger King.
I've seen that.
I
We were just talking about that one.
Yeah. I don't
Very
know
instructive.
I don't know if that bar's gonna survive though.
No, that's
We've
the,
seen quite a few poles and
Yeah.
trees and, I mean, look out here at Ware Road, what we have.
it's the only thing that'll stop them.
Yeah.
And that'd be,
It's not
Your
gonna stop them,
expense.
it's gonna deter.
Right.
It's gonna be wrong.
but if that gets knocked down, it's their expense to get it back up.
Company-owned trucks will drive over it. Privately owned trucks won't.
And how would that be installed? Because it's gonna get knocked off, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So is it something that there's shear bolts in there that, are you gonna uproot the whole foundation, or how do they, I'm sure they designed it somehow that they can be fixed.
It's shear bolts, it's a concrete, just like a light pole. It's a
Okay.
concrete foundation with a plate and bolts.
How many did you take out?
I haven't ever taken one now, but I know it's gonna get taken out. That's why I'm just looking at it, rather than be a month fix, I'd rather see it, a day fix.
And how much of an eyesore would that be? Do they look terrible?
Oh, we're already proposing. Yeah, we're doing that elsewhere, so that's, yeah.
It's utilitarian, I mean, it's not.
No more intrusive than a light bulb.
Right.
So Derek, you're okay with that, with working on them?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
So now, would you still have the center island in there?
I don't think they need it. No, that would be the compromise, is we'll compromise on not requiring the concrete pork chop if I would say the radius on the northern side is neck down as Dave proposed, and then we put some sort of overhead obstruction along with signage. So we'll just work on getting that all detailed.
Okay, do you need any,
We were talking about it, you wanted to discuss that.
I think you should discuss the traffic right now, and then you can act on, basically you can act on what you're willing to accept as far as fee in lieu of traffic improvements, and kind of lop section 505A, the widening fee, put that all together.
okay.
It's one big move.
Okay, so what do you have on traffic situation?
Dave, do you have a final proposal to review this
Yeah, I
evening on that?
think we still are steadfast at 91.5 cents, per square foot of building.
Well,
Well,
I
referred to-
apologize, Dave, you and I have not had a chance to discuss yet. I've discussed with your staff over the last, Friday and Monday, and we discussed internally that, I've been authorized to set a cap at 298,000. And from that 298,000, we'll remove the cost of the 1 foot widening, which comes out to be roughly 7,300. And then the stormwater maintenance fee fund that we understand is 2,500, which leaves us with an offer of $288,189 for our offer. And from that, we understand, we don't want to perceive that we understand the needs of your community. You know your needs better than we do. So however you would like to divide that 288,000 up, if you would like us to make a separate donation to your fire department on your behalf of, I think you're looking for 85 or 45,000 and some change to your fire department fund, and then you take the remainder of that to the township, we're certainly willing to split it up that way, however you see fit. But really, like I said, we're capped at an all-in of 298,000.
Is that what you understand the discussion is?
I think from what I've talked with Terry there, it was the 252 for the road, going towards the road, the 46 going to the fire company, for the donations.
But the one thing we did not talk about was the stormwater maintenance fee. That had not been paid yet. And that's 2,500.
It's roughly, I did not run that calculation, but it's gonna be right around there. That's based on number of facilities and maintenance hours over a 10-year period, so you're gonna be somewhere around 25.
So rather than 252, it would be 249.5.
Is that 2,500, is that put it in an escrow or something? Or is it just in the general fund?
The 2,500 should go into a stormwater fund, and that's for,
Yeah, we put it in a separate account, and that's where we pull from.
Sounds about right what you were.
Yeah, that's from what Terry and I were discussing, that covers the road, you know, what we need for the road. Correct?
That's in excess of what we anticipate.
Right.
The total road cost, upgrading Clover would be.
Okay, does any of this have to do with the widening then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
so this is for, waiver number 5, and you're okay with the numbers, Terry?
Terry and I made the
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah, we've been through them, that's roughly what we were talking about.
Okay, do I hear a motion to accept the, fee in lieu of widening as just discussed?
I'll make a motion to approve waiver number 5. For what we just discussed here.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, what else do you have?
So now we're actually looking for the full plan approval, conditioned upon Derek's letter dated April 3rd, 2023.
Put that.
So it should be conditioned upon his letter plus the requirement that the bar be installed to protect all of the,
Okay,
subject to Derek's.
so are there any outstanding things? Fritz, is there anything you need on there?
No.
We had a, just so the board's aware, we had a small discussion today. I think Dave lost a little sleep last night. We had a small discussion today about the, right of way on the lower section of Clover. If you look at the plan, it wasn't lining up that the 50-foot right of way was centered in the road. What we found out through some research was that their property line actually was where the center line of Cloverleaf Road used to be. And through the original development of this site, we all know that the road was realigned, but mainly the section down right off of Susquehanna Trail. There was that section was widened along their frontage and also as part of the Wendy's land development plan. So when you look at the plan right now, it doesn't look like they're dedicating enough right of way because their property line isn't in the center line of Cloverleaf. It's where the old center line of Cloverleaf was. So we didn't want to hit them twice. So we're comfortable with the right of way that's being dedicated, and Dave's going to show that on the land development plan.
Yeah,
Just
we
the
had,
cross section to make that very clear.
we had that problem before, before a lot of zoning and everything went in. They just drew lines.
Yeah.
And then not necessarily where they should have been.
Sure. As part of the other thing is, as part of that original subdivision plan back in 1998, there's about 5 feet of right of way that was dedicated then that they'd like to take back because of the zoning for the front setback related to the building height. That lower building sits 45 feet off of the right-of-way line, which is your 35-foot setback, your 10-foot building off of the front setback. That allows them to take their building height from 36 to 46 using that. So they really can't move their building. When we researched that old subdivision plan, we found that there was something goofy that happened with the right-of-way with a little jog. They'd like that back so they can get credit for where the real right-of-way line is. We're comfortable with it. We don't believe that edge of pavement on their side is gonna change. If anything, we're gonna be widening on the other side, to get it back to center. They're willing, in what we spoke to today, they're willing to grant us like a 5-foot wide maintenance easement through there in case we ever need to do any grading or install signage, or again, it's just a unique situation that the right of way is not centered over the road, but it's due to their part being widened. So just to be very transparent, that was a lot of information. I'll review that with you again if you need.
Is any of that in here?
That's not in here because we just figured that out, so that's another condition. Yeah. Well, I was building up.
I would just, one recommendation on top of that, make it a utility and maintenance easement. In case, that gives you, that'll give you, I think it turns out to be like 11 feet, there's 6 feet between the right of way and the edge of road now. That additional 5 would be 11 feet. If for some reason an utility wanted to go in there, that would be enough for them to get in and not disturb the cartway.
Okay, so you'll need a motion on the utility maintenance easement
So
to
your
approve that.
motion should be to conditionally approve the plan based on the comments of the April 3rd letter, the approval of the engineer for the driveway restriction design, and also the modification of the right-of-way on Cloverleaf Road with the utility and maintenance easement granted.
Okay,
I think that covers it.
got that, Shannon?
I sure do.
Now, there is a gated at the bottom entrance, that is gated.
That is gated,
Correct,
yes.
okay.
Do I hear a motion on Derek's explanation of driveway design, April 3rd letter, and the utility maintenance?
I'll make a motion to,
Conditional.
conditionally approve, the points Derek just brought out in reference to, the April 3rd, letter.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you.
All right,
Thanks
thank
so
you.
much.
Derek, I have a question for you. Just out of curiosity, I don't know how the roads design and everything, but I know they were always saying we couldn't have a traffic light there at Cloverleaf because it was too close.
That was PennDOT's determination.
Yeah, kind of. What is their limitation on that? Is there something?
Whatever you want, that's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 foot less than that.
Well, I'm wondering, what if we moved Cloverleaf Road over? Along Billy's property there, that, all those houses that they tore down.
Probably still, you're only talking 50 feet.
I don't believe there's anywhere in PennDOT's design manual that specifies a minimum separation. What was driving their decision to not allow the traffic light there was the stacking. So now, really, it'd be worthwhile looking at it now. It's gotten a lot better since they retimed and upgraded those signals along Strinestown. But the thought being, it's really difficult to synchronize traffic lights. And if you have stacking along the interstate that's back past the close,
Yeah.
there's no point in having a light with a green arrow and you can't turn green because there's traffic right there. So that's kind of where they landed on. And the concern being, we've seen it, now it's getting a little bit better with those upgrades, but you've seen it sitting there at Rudders just trying to get across and you see nothing but blue skies in front of you and you're sitting there at a red light. If those lights don't work in tandem, it ends up making the situation worse. So, I mean, we've always been supportive of getting a light there, and I think if the opportunity arrives, we'll absolutely keep pushing that. That was their justification, it was due to the state.
Yeah, and I know, there's other places that we travel, like even over on Centerville Pike,
Mhm.
there's like 3 lights, and there's a railroad track there too. So it's like, just seemed like it wasn't any more congested here than it was over there.
Yeah,
We'll keep pushing them
unfortunately,
for a light.
I think again, in talking with PennDOT, if they had it back, I don't think they'd have the 2 lights on the interstate where they are right now. Like that's a design they don't like, so they don't wanna add to it and make it even worse. I think they really wanna try to start fresh up there. So, whenever that happens,
So no lights going in there at all then?
at Cloverleaf, no.
So we just sit there and wait to get out now still, and it's gonna be worse when all this goes on too.
It
So
should
we
be-
just sit there waiting to get out.
The last development that's going in now did pay to upgrade the lights along 83 to allow those to synchronize a little bit better. So that should have shown somewhat of an improvement. You're also going to see some improvements
Yeah,
to the
you live there.
83 off-ramp with the North Point development, so.
Fritz, you live there too, right? You don't see no different, do you? No,
You're-
me neither.
You're
And I
stuck
work at
there.
home and I don't even go out very often, but when I do, if you don't have someone letting you out, you're sitting there waiting to get out.
Would
But
you state your name for the record, please?
Yvette McCarty.
Thank you.
Yvette, you don't think it is any better though? Like
I don't even go out, 'cause like I said, I work at home,
Right.
but I went to leave tonight to go to Bobcat Creamery. It's no different.
Is that what
Like, depending on what time it is, you're sitting there, unless a truck, or you get trucks coming up the road and they're sitting right there, you know, and you have to wait. Luckily, you'll get someone, hey, let's go, but then you have other ones coming this way. It's no different.
I thought it looked better, cause I go up that way a lot to get on 83. And in the mornings, they used to be stacked up terrible down there, but I don't see that near as
The
bad.
stacking isn't as long anymore, but it's still there.
Yeah,
It's still there.
if you
can't get
live
out.
there,
Yeah, oh yeah, you
It's
see it
different.
daily.
I mean, I get it, traffic's traffic, you know, but like I said, I'm working at home, it doesn't really bother me as much, but if I have to sit there every day, if I had to sit there every day, I'd be a little bit more angry.
Okay, so we'll move on. Nothing else on the planning and zoning.
Thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report.
You guys have a chance looking at everything?
No, we're not doing treasurer report, we're doing just a regular
Oh,
report.
just reports?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
police report and the building report. Did we ever get a building report?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes he had two,
Wow, police report, the amount of calls.
Yeah, but it's down a little bit too.
In January, year over year, it's on 36%. I was watching that.
Hey, I don't know where Nate's at. You guys want to sign my petition?
What is it?
well, we just
Run
got our
into,
our
unseat
new
Brian.
annual report.
Unseat
And just give you some
Yeah.
figures,
Look
Conewago
in here.
Township has a population of
Well, just to get me on the ballot.
8,497, and we had 2,937 calls. Now, out of those, the majority of them were just service calls, which Jeremy, service call is just a barking dog,
Yeah, any type
trespassing.
of request for assistance, yeah.
or for assistance with the fire company or something like that.
Ambulance calls.
And we had 171 arrests. This is in the year of last year, 2022. 171 criminal arrests, 226 traffic accidents. Probably majority of them was out at Cloverleaf or up at Hayes, I don't know. Traffic citations were 712 and of course warning cards. Last month, we gave out chief's commendations to Officer Sean Rollick, Officer Timothy McHugh, Officer Austin Brereton, and Officer Andrea Godfrey. Their commendations were for taking 6 drug dealers off the roads. Here's some of the things that, just to give you an idea of what they run into. One of the arrests, they found a pound of marijuana, THC vape cartridges, THC gummies, white powder, various pills, scales, and packing material. And they also had 3 illegal guns. Another one, they had 4 large bags of marijuana, 15 individual packaged smaller bags of marijuana, bag of cocaine, a bag of heroin, a bag of crack cocaine, scales, drug packaging material, and a handgun. Another one, they had 16 bags of marijuana, 3 plastic bags containing edible marijuana made into breakfast cereal bars,
Yum.
and cash. And they also had an 18-year-old male had he had a suppressor on a loaded handgun. And also the handgun had no serial number assigned to it, and it was labeled as a ghost gun. And this 18-year-old male also had $2,455 in cash. So it just looks like we had a lot of drug activity in the last month. But congratulations to those officers that spotted that, basically through traffic stops, just routine traffic stops.
Wow.
Which nothing's routine anymore. Conewago Township, we had several incidents of fraud, to just be careful, with credit cards. Somebody posing as a bank employee scanned a victim out of $9,000. And also Northern Regional that writes up these reports had a little bit of sense of humor, because on, this was actually in Manchester Township, on the 18th, a burglary on Mayfield Drive. A 56-year-old female, high on crack cocaine, entered a victim's home, ate a banana, and stole his salt and vinegar potato chips. So they were really detailed in making sure they said what was going on there.
Can't make that up.
Yeah, sometimes it's hilarious. If it's not a emu or a lemur running around, it's somebody eating a banana and chips. Also during the month, during the last year, Northern Regional actually got over $6 million in grants. $1 million was for a cell tower, and that's going to go in the lower part of the county. Unfortunately, we're not getting it here in Conewago Township. Senator Kristen Phillips Hill is the one that organized that, and that's her district. So we need to get with our new representative to try to get some for back over the mountain. Also, some of the grants were for car cameras, new radios, body cameras, and also RACP grant for $4.5 million for their new building that they received. So everything's gone well with that. New patrol cars, you got new patrol cars.
We have them all, we have them upfitted and they're on the road, yeah.
Great. One F-150 and 3 Explorers. And a lot of ours were going to hybrids.
Yes, they all are hybrids, yeah.
And saving a lot of money, because a lot of time they're not on the road traveling, they're sitting somewhere. So it's saving a lot of money. Also, there's 3 new cadets that are doing, they're in the academy.
Correct.
And they'll be coming.
Happens to July when they graduate.
And also, the promotions, Gage Bumgarner and Brian Shantz are going to be promoted to corporal. And that ceremony will be sometime in May. But yeah, you're right, we did have a lot more calls. And during the pandemic, calls really went down. But now they're starting to climb back up. People are out and about. So do I hear a motion to accept the building and the police report?
I'll make a motion to accept the police report and the building report.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
I don't, you pretty much covered it all.
Okay.
Can I add something?
Mm-hmm.
About 2 weeks ago, on a windy day,
And your name?
Larry Kaufman, the wind blew one of my trees down over the road. So I got down to the bottom of the driveway, Northern Regional car was there, and the lady behind the wheel said, "You got a chainsaw?" I said, "Yeah." So I went and grabbed my chainsaw, and I would start cutting it up, and as I cut each piece off, she was grabbing it and putting up, I mean, she did as much work as I did.
I have an idea who that was.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, so I was just really impressed.
Yeah, we have 4 female officers.
You're at 5. Yeah, I did the count, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at 5.
And they're not afraid of anything. They go right in there. They're good. We have a good crew. Okay, treasurer's report. Thanks, Larry, for sharing that. Everybody had a chance to review?
Yes,
I had a couple things I went over with Shannon, but everything seemed to be okay with it.
I'll make a motion then to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Josh.
The only thing I have is for approval of the low bids that were received on March 13th. Gamble for lime painting, York Materials for asphalt, Kinsley Material for aggregate, and then Kinsley Construction for road work.
Okay, do you guys have any questions on any of the bids? All right, do I hear a motion to approve the bids that Josh just cited?
I'll make a motion to approve the bids, the low bids there that Josh just stated.
And I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Solicitor's report.
I don't really have anything.
it was mentioned on here that for the intermunicipal agreement to be signed, that's been already taken care of. So on that agreement, so far, we have signed Manchester, or assigned,
North York Borough.
and
I
North.
don't think, at least the one that I received, sorry. The one that I received, they haven't signed yet, but did
Okay.
they sign now?
I have one a signed copy from North York Borough.
Oh, okay.
They signed last month. Manchester's meeting is coming up. They're signing, I think it's next week.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think on that,
Yeah, Tim signed this one.
yeah, that is signed on that one.
Yeah.
Is it,
And
okay?
I
So
think,
maybe it's just switched. North York's about to sign probably.
yeah, and I think, who was it, Rod?
Yes,
Rod,
Rod did, yep.
yeah, from Manchester.
Okay, yeah, maybe it's the other way around. One of them signed and one of them was doing it this
Yeah,
time.
the only one that wasn't was North York on
Okay.
this. But, we'll get started on that on the comprehensive plan. Maybe we can iron out some of these things that are questionable. Okay, is that everything?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Engineers report.
All right, looking at the agenda, Fritz, you wanna jump right into the stormwater discussion this evening?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something that's been coming up here for a while at, planning commission through approval of plans is the, inconsistency in the township stormwater ordinance compared to county, state, and other municipal regs, in that the township views, stone as a pervious surface as opposed to an impervious surface. Again, it's just been a recurring topic that's been coming up here, so I understand that's why that's on the agenda tonight. I use that as an opportunity to send over a draft stormwater ordinance, I'm sure you guys all reviewed in the last 24 hours this evening. But
And every word.
that's right. So just as kind of a discussion point, we went through multiple municipalities back in the fall and took the draft 2011 county ordinance, which is what your stormwater ordinance is based off of. Yours was, I believe, adopted in 2013. We took that county model and we updated it based on some current regulations, some issues that we've had with that model ordinance, and just some better design criteria. There's a lot different stormwater, there are a lot of different stormwater facilities going in now than there were 10 years ago. The design keeps moving. So we made a pretty, I don't want to call it a sweeping update, but we cleaned a lot of stuff up and tried to simplify that ordinance. So,
Can you highlight some of the major changes?
sure. The major, so not to get really boring, but the major changes you'll see are in Article 3 of the ordinance. It'd be section 310 and beyond. So from there on, that information is actually not in the model stormwater ordinance, because your model ordinance doesn't contain any technical design criteria. It's just guidelines. So us engineers had to get real dorky with it and add all of the restrictions that you had, similar to what we acted on tonight: the slopes, the berms, the release rates. This is how you design it, this is how you inspect it. So we had to add all of that stuff. And we did that to your last ordinance. Now, 10 years wiser, we looked at that section again and modernized it and simplified it a little bit more. It dictates the minimum slope you have to put your pipes in at, how to install inlets, all of that stuff. So those are probably the most sweeping changes that you've seen. Your current ordinance has a 1,200 square foot exemption. At the time, that was a little groundbreaking because the county was being pretty forceful of, hey, you have to regulate every square foot. Since then, DEP has ruled that really if it's under an acre, you as a municipality have the ultimate decision as to how you're gonna regulate stormwater. So while we have some exemption and some small project criteria in your ordinance, that's probably the biggest thing that would be up for discussion and interpretation, is you get another crack at that. You wanna continue with your 1,200 square foot exemption? Do you wanna increase it? Do you wanna decrease it? What a lot of municipalities are doing is adopting a small exemption and then putting in almost like a middle ground where it's a simplified plan before you get to a major plan. Right now, you either have exemption or major plan. That's where you guys are at. So that's something I'd like to work with your staff on and see if we can get something. I'll work with Josh.
I'm happy.
I'll move.
We'd be looking then to get rid of that,
1,200.
well, not the 1,200, but
Well,
the
it goes to an acre.
stone issue.
Oh,
because
the pervious,
These
yeah.
people that have a stone driveway for years, they
Mhm.
wanna pave the driveway, well, it's already impervious. You know, and then we look at it as, pervious. And then also, your county conservation, they look at stone as, it's pervious,
It's
impervious, yeah.
The thought behind it is a gravel surface, again, it'll be compacted over the years, it'll more resemble an impervious surface than grass, for lack of a better comparison. And really for ease of permitting, which is what Fritz is coming to you this evening, is it's very easy when you see a gravel lot or something that's semi-paved. Somebody wants to come in and put a building on it or pave it, it's already impervious, do whatever you need to do. Okay, it's ease of permitting, but if you're adding something new, if you're expanding a parking area, if you're putting in a new driveway, that's the time when we wanna do stormwater management, consistent with what the county requires on an NPDS permit.
Right.
But yeah, you do have a couple of plans now that are coming in where people have existing gravel driveways, they wanna pave them. Technically, they need to do stormwater management. So, that's probably the most significant change would be that definition and how we've been dealing with it.
And the 1,200, those two.
Yeah, we've been fighting that for years. That, one suggestion, is there any way you could jump from one to the other? I'm getting motion sickness.
I'm
so
sorry,
much of that.
yeah, I was trying to find it, the
Did you
310.
see it?
Oh, no, we were reeling back and forth, apologize.
Okay. Is there any way to just bounce on?
Where are you
page?
trying to go back to? See, this is such a big document, this stormwater ordinance
It
is
is.
literally
Oh,
like
yeah.
100 pages, so
Yeah.
it's
I
hard to
could tell you
find.
how
what
much
you're
fun I
looking
had
for.
writing this. So,
Yeah.
You wrote every word
I
there?
have 73
I'm
I
pages.
didn't write every word, but it's a lot.
Okay.
Forgive me, John, the bigger section would be 307.
307, so that's.
307 is where all the fun stuff is.
Okay.
That's the regulations governing stormwater.
Okay.
Here it is.
That's the section that'll put you to sleep.
But where do we, talk about the exemptions and when a major, stormwater plan needs to be done?
So the exemptions are in section 302 and ultimately 303.
Yeah, so like a smaller project, like you're adding on to the house, or you're putting a shed, or your patio, those kinds of things. Those, the way this ordinance works, will all be taken care of at staff level and by the, property owner or his builder, and not have to get engineers involved
Mhm.
with either the design or the review. Okay, so I think, in my eyes, that's the biggest
So
thing about this.
when does the recording side of it?
You wouldn't record a little one. So there's a cutoff we would have between a small, single lot project versus a larger stormwater management plan like we deal with now that would still follow the O&M recording, the recording and sealing of the plan. So if you guys all look at, it's appendix, it would be appendix D. It's at the end, in this Word document here, it starts at page, 59, 61, excuse me. That gives you a little bit of a taste of what we're talking about. It's a booklet of standardized designs that would allow an average property owner who's making an improvement, that's it, right there. It's a standard design that would allow a property owner who's making one of these small improvements on the properties to come through and fill it out just like they were filling out a building permit. We're still asking them to do something, put in a small infiltration pit, put in a little rain garden, but you're doing it on a much smaller, simpler scale.
I think we had something that earlier like this with Jeff Shute, he had got something together a lot like that.
You had this in before the 2013 ordinance, which caused the change.
And you're going from what, 1,200 to 2,000 now, it looks like.
That's all, that all needs to be kind of discussed. We carried over the 1,200 square foot exemption, and we expanded, so, yeah, if you're between 1,200 and 2,000, you would do something like this. 2,000 is the cutoff that a lot of our municipalities chose. You could choose 5,000 if you want. All depends on how big you want to get.
That's a whole lot.
It's a lot. That's a tough part about this township, is that's a ton in Bennett Run, but it's not a lot in Baldwin's.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah, and that was a little ridiculous if somebody wanted to put a little shed up and they had to get engineers and everything
Sure.
involved. It was too cumbersome and expensive.
Well, right now, we don't get an engineer involved with little ones, because it's under the 1,200 square
Right.
foot.
you just don't do anything.
You don't do anything, you just record that, so you know that this property used X number of square feet of impervious surface that was created. Once you reach the 1,200, then you gotta start regulating it.
Provide some type of control.
Right.
So this is up right now just for review and tweaking
Yes.
and whatnot, so.
Right, I mean, I know Fritz is coming to you tonight saying, hey, can we amend our current ordinance to change that definition? And I'm completely supportive of that, if that's something you wanna do in the interim, just to get moving on this. But if you think we can review this and come to some sort of an agreement sooner rather than later, I'd really advocate for a full revision of the stormwater ordinance. Again, not saying we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, this is just an update of what you have and a revisit of some of those planned.
Yeah,
How
I think
soon,
that's-
how soon would the revisions to the stormwater plan be?
You wanna read it? I mean, we could authorize advertisement next month if you want to, we can get through
If
it.
you could decide where your cutoffs, where you want your cutoffs, you know.
So if anybody has any comments to get back to Derek or Terry.
I mean, what I told some of the other municipalities, if you would go back through and look at your records as far as what type of things come in over the last couple of years, and look at that and try to use that to help set the cutoffs. You know, if you have a lot of them that are coming in at 1,800, maybe you wanna set at 2,000 and then, you know.
So, can we get like a summary document showing what it is now?
Yep.
What the recommendation to move to, would be, and that way, I think it would simplify the 100 pages for us to digest and be able to understand the implications and
Pretty
modify.
much have something like that together.
I have the framework of that prepared, that's modeled more after, this is the model ordinance and this is what we at CS Davidson changed, but I can easily build on that document and say, here's some stuff from your old ordinance. Again, I think a lot of
And Highland.
I think you're gonna be interested in about 10% of it. So I'm gonna focus on that rather than, well, the basin berm used to be 8 feet, now I'm making it 10. I'm sure that's not anything you guys wanna discuss, but I know what you're asking for and I can get you something out of that.
Cool, thank you.
Well, why don't we take it for a month and look at this, and you get that out to us, and we'll email that to the rest of you folks there. And then come to the next meeting, all right, we're gonna decide we like this, and then we're gonna look to advertise it.
Yeah, because we really didn't have a lot of time here.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I only read 99 of the 100 pages, so I still have one more to go.
Well, that last one was important.
I thought.
That's where you sign, just remember that.
Okay, so what else do you have?
Okay, the other thing on the agenda here would be the Cloverleaf Road truck sign study. I believe, so are we looking for, we're looking for an authorization. Go ahead, Terry.
I don't know if I think I copied you, but what I did, I went back and looked at the Ridgeline developer
Yeah.
agreement, and there was a paragraph in there that obligated them to do the study and pay for the signs, prior to occupancy of the building. So I guess what I'd like to do is just send that off to them and remind them that that's their obligation, and they probably ought to get that started.
Now, who does the study? Do they do the study, or do you folks do the study?
I'm pretty sure that paragraph said that they would do the study. Ridgeline would do the study. So I'm gonna send them,
Where,
very similar to
how
the
far
note.
would they take it to, though?
It would be the section basically from Red Rock out to Butter.
I would say you gotta almost incorporate, Aaron Enterprises at the top of the hill. Cause they come in and out there with tractor trailers. I would not go over top of the hill to the other side.
You think they're gonna arrest them for that 100 feet? I mean, the signage could, I guess the ordinance and signage could start.
I mean, if we're gonna do it, then just, let's make a cutoff area, you don't go over that ridge. Or you stop at the driveway for,
Okay.
at that. You know, no, we're gonna stop at Red Rock. Well, what about the trailers that went past there?
Yeah, and similar to what was over on Locust Point Road, I would suggest that we put signage up at the Susquehanna Trail that says there is, whatever that is, 2,000 feet down the road, there is a truck restriction zone.
Or no through truck traffic.
Something of that nature. We'll let them come up with the recommendation as traffic engineers, but something that should, the notice probably ought to go out at the Susquehanna Trail.
Yeah.
Because once you get in there, then
Where you're gonna
Once you
go.
get in
Yeah.
here.
where you get to turn around,
Mhm.
unless you're going to private property.
Hey, Garrett, do you have anything else?
Just a couple highlights here. The signs did go up on Locust Point Road, speaking of no truck. They went up last week, in case anybody hasn't been out there. So that's all taken care of.
Is that all?
No.
No.
I think you'll shoot for mid-month
Mid-month.
here.
Mid-month, yeah.
Mid-month is a week away.
If,
I don't know how close they are, but they were pretty adamant about trying to get it open there.
right. We had for those of you who haven't seen it, there's a new project on this, the Hanover Locust Point Industrial Park. I absolutely recommend supervisors take a look at it. We got a sketch plan in 5 days before our planning commission meeting on March 27th, which is proposing 2 more warehouses out on Locust Point Road.
Christ.
So,
What are they putting out?
I think we're done. I think we're done after this one. I don't know if there's anything left. Dare I say, but, yeah, so that, I know, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
That plan did come in as a sketch plan, so it's not a formal submission, but they're requesting formal review of their stormwater management so that they can start their work on their environmental permits, because that's their critical path. But if you haven't seen that sketch plan, take a look at it, be aware of
Is
it.
that even, that one of your reports?
It wasn't in my report, no.
But all that traffic will go out and go toward the Manchester area. It won't be coming out through Strine's Town.
No, it's truck, it'll be truck restriction, starting at,
It'll end up.
Orange Bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna come down to.
so it has to come, and they will get the restricted driveway just like, the cubes.
I mean, basically, it's gonna do exactly like the cubes. One of them is 423, the other one's 285.
Oh,
So another 800 times 50.
So just to call your attention to that. I think that's about.
sure it's calculated.
I think that's about it. I did not forget about your Mill Creek parking sketch. We've been working on that. I'm just not ready to present it to you, so that's next month.
Okay.
Okay?
And talking about Mill Creek, food truck Friday will start in May. Yep. First Friday in May, so, we get back here, we'll already have that, well, I don't know when our first meeting is, when our May meeting is. So, we might be able to announce it at the next meeting. Okay, so that was everything you had?
I believe so.
All right, any questions for the solicitor or the engineer? Okay, unfinished business? What about the, Canal Road betterment? When are they gonna start working on Canal Road? Is there
You
anything,
want work to be done?
well, at the turning lane and,
We don't have a date yet, right?
They
For the
just-
portion that's in Conewago.
They just submitted preliminary plans to PennDOT that they're in the process of looking at. I don't think there's any construction planned until 2024. And actually, the bridge itself, I think, is not 2025.
oh, okay, wow.
It's a little while off now.
That's really the tail end of it, it's kind of working its way. On the other
We're
end.
always on the tail end, aren't we? Oh, goodness.
There's no update on the Susquehanna road swap?
At the last meeting, they talked about this, was it Kiefer? The district, engineer at PennDOT, he's changing.
Yeah.
And again, this is like, it went from, this is the third one since this has started. And he now is taking another position and moving on, so there's gonna be someone else coming into that. And, they suggested that they meet with the current one and the one that's gonna be coming in. And I just told them, while you're doing that, bring them up to date, but also make sure that you get the information about the turn back on the Susquehanna Trail. We wanna talk to them about that. And again, when we have the, representative around here somewhere, we're gonna have to try to utilize the representative to get that through the state
Yeah,
government.
I'd like to meet with him, and Larry, Dorsey or
Yeah, Joe Dorsey.
Dorsey?
Yeah, he was over at the senior center this
Yeah.
morning.
Was he really? Yeah.
He brought his daughter along.
Okay, yeah, we want to meet with him, and, we have a couple ideas of things we'd like to have his help with, so.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
meet with them.
that's one of them. We wanna bring them up to date on where we're at with that, because it's gonna have to go through the, I guess, the House of Representatives and the Senate, to get that approved.
And it doesn't appear to be a big priority for that. Well, I mean, maybe if you meet with Joe, then,
Yeah.
Either Kara or I.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'd like to have like even a public meeting, so we'll see what we can arrange. See what his schedule is, and our schedule is, okay, we'll work on that. Anything else? Yeah, we wanna get, that turn back before the road deteriorates and we have to top it. So it's in pretty good shape now, there's a couple little spots here and there, but if we can get moving on that. Okay, no unfinished business, any new business? Shannon, do you have anything? Do you? Okay. Okay, any other business? Okay, nothing else? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.